Triple A MMA Genesis, November 8th. Dorian Dixon's on the card, and he joins us now, taking on Hosay Batts, who's making his pro debut after a 7-fight amateur run. You know about an extensive amateur run. How are you feeling, though, leading up to the fight?
I'm feeling prepared. I've had all summer to train, develop my skill. I've spent a lot of time this year focusing on skill development, and I feel just confident and ready.
And then we knew you were getting ready for a pro boxing debut at one time. How much have you been concentrating on that stand-up?
I've been concentrating a lot. I actually made that boxing debut, and there were 2 opportunities that fell under for additional boxing matches. So there has been a lot of time spent on refining the specific skills for boxing. Now people in addition to boxing, so hopefully that'll translate into MMA, but it is a completely different sport.
So how much time, when you were getting ready for those boxing matches, did you still stay working on the ground game and working on everything?
It was normally it's a 50-50 spread. It was maybe a 60-40 spread during those specific time periods, but I'm always training MMA. I'm a martial artist, so I always focus on my martial arts, and that translates most directly to the cage fighting.
So we had seen you cage fight amateur and pro debuts, amateur-wise, and for the pro debut for a while, and then you went back to the boxing. What was it like getting to just strike and not worrying about the takedowns?
It was a shift. Instead of the focus being on not having to worry about the takedowns, I felt the difference in specialty skills. Where boxing is not just MMA without kicks and takedowns, it is a whole skill set on its own. Completely different way to approach striking, completely different way to approach defense. So that's what I felt was that difference.
We know you had a long amateur kickboxing run also, so how much was that a difference? Used to being light on your feet, moving. Boxing, you got to sit down on the punches, you're cutting different angles, and you're not worrying about certain angles that you normally are about the kicks coming up or knees coming up.
I feel it's more of a distance thing. One issue that I had early on training to be a boxer was I would step away, or when I pivot away from my opponent, I would step too far, so I would step for kicking range, and that left me out of range for my punching. The adjustment I had to learn to make was to stay close to my opponent, and to rely more heavily on head movement instead of blocking. Where with kickboxing, at a longer range, I have more time to block. In boxing, I want to move on evasion more head movement.
So with how your career, you said a couple of boxing fights fell through. We were out of weigh-in with one that occurred a couple months ago. So are you taking the fights as they come? Have you been specifically looking MMA, boxing?
It's been as they come. This summer, I didn't have as many offers, and the few offers I did have, I would find out that the opponent wasn't going to happen, or the opponent backed out for whatever reason, with a lot of time in advance. And so we just, after 2 turndowns, we just started taking whatever was offered.
So right now, is there a focus for which sport, or is it again just still what fight's coming at you?
I want to focus on the cage fighting. The boxing has been fun, and it is a fun sport, and I enjoy it, but I want to focus on the cage fighting. That's what I enjoy the most, and if I don't enjoy doing it, there's no point to doing this, so I should do what I enjoy the most.
And then coming up with this fight, what do you know about your opponent, Hosay?
All I know is it's his pro debut, that he won his last fight by TKO, and I don't really have much more information. So.
We've seen him fight up a weight class, out welterweight. What does that kind of matter to you? A possibility that he could be the bigger guy in there?
Well, given the little information I do have, I know that he is closer to my natural standing weight size. From what I've heard, it sounds like he didn't have much success at the higher weight classes. So it's very likely that he is my size of a fighter and is now fighting at a more appropriate weight class, as opposed to someone who is larger than myself coming down a weight class. So I'm not going to worry about it too much.
His last fight, that last amateur fight, only lasted a couple minutes, was inside the first round, was also on Triple A. Have you been able to take a look at that fight?
I have not yet. I have been offered the opportunity to possibly look at it. I'm going to pursue that to see if I can get my hands on that video. But as of yet, I haven't got a chance to look at it.
So then, what do you focus in on something that you need to do in the fight when you're kind of fighting against a blank canvas?
I have to spend time reading my opponent. Sometimes that's taking an entire round, sometimes it takes just a few seconds. My major focus will be in that first round, reading my opponent, feeling what his strengths are, what his weaknesses, what direction he may want to try and take the fight. and then steer it the direction that I see fit.
We've seen a lot of guys so far in your amateur run, at least, and even in that pro fight, they really try hard to get you on your back. So what have you been doing to work on your wrestling?
I've been doing a lot of jiu-jitsu. My focus is Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but for those who don't know, instructor William Carpenter, he also has the years of experience in judo, Japanese jiu-jitsu, and then he's taught wrestling. And so with that varied experience, I've just been preparing for every possible scenario.
And then it's been a while since you've been in that cage going 100%. So what's the excitement like for you? You said it's your love. What is it like to getting back to that fight, having that ahead of you?
It's very nice after such a dry summer to finally have a fight coming up. It's more a relief that it's finally happening again. And I have had a perspective change on why I'm competing. And so this is it feels almost like a new start because my reason for fighting is different than one before.
Well, as I can recall from your amateur career, you were the kind of guy that was a martial artist. You fought because you wanted to build up your name, kind of become a gym owner. So where's the perspective change from that?
I still want to be a gym owner, but I realized that my reason for fighting wasn't for me, it was for the future. It was for some ethereal reason that didn't really matter. And for this kind of sport, with the amount that you put into the ring, you have to want to do it. It has to be something that's for you. It can't be for somebody else. It can't be for the future. It can't be because it's expected of you. It has to be for you. And I realized that I do love the sport. And so it's changed the way I train. It's changed my motivation. It's changed my stress level. It's not a have to anymore. It's a want to.
So you said it was a dry summer for you, but sounds like you grew a lot in that time.
I did. There was a lot of training. I did go through a lot of different experiences through my training. And so it was a worthwhile. In retrospect, it was a necessary break period. It's nice to get back into it. It does get kind of boring and you are just waiting. And then it's very disappointing when you have fights, when you wait for a fight and the fight ends up not happening. So there's all that preparation, all that anticipation, and then nothing. So it is very nice to have one. But looking back on it, I'm very thankful for that period of time that I didn't have to grow.
And then what's been going on the work way? We know that you've been already starting, not your own gym, but starting the teaching aspect. What's that been like for you? Because we know that was something you really wanted to do.
Oh, I've been teaching since I was 10 years old, but it's nice to finally get paid for it. And so, to be honest, it's not much different. I have taught since I was 10 years old. And so I've been teaching for over a decade. But it's nice to finally get paid for it. Different crowd, different world, brings in different energy.
And how has that been also to revitalizing you in, this is what I want to do and the reasons that you're doing it?
So, in this new world I'm in, I'm surrounded by a lot of other people who are also active. Some of them are active competitors, some of them are retired competitors. So I get their enthusiasm in the sport. They feed on to me. I get to pull that energy off of them and it helps me excite me a little bit more.
So when you're there talking about them, I got a fight coming up, they got a fight, it helps you with that feeding off, it helps you with that intensity, kind of?
Very much so.
And then anything else new going on with you?
Nothing at the moment, it's just work and training.
Working and training. We got to thank you for the time. I'm sure there's people you need to thank.
Yes, I do need to thank Gonzalez, who's been there for me since I started my competitive career. There are countless instructors I should thank from years back, taking too long to get into. I do want to thank William Carpenter, my jiu-jitsu coach, for being there, and Shelly. She's been an in-between sort of teammate who's helped me through just this process of having no fights over the summer and keeping my motivation up. And then I want to thank my family for continuing to support me, for being excited, for helping to keep my excitement up, to look forward to the next fight, and always being ready to, at a moment's notice, to come watch me fight and cheer me on.
Thank you for the time. November 8th, everybody. McKernan Event Center, Triple A MMA Genesis. We'll see you there.